But I come here tonight. I'm not going to influence you in no way. I will not. Even in your prayers. Why do you pray? You already know. Why are you jabbing off all them long words and all that? What are you doing on that? So my spiritual vision, I studied people. When I was on top of that hill, that was not a funny night. I gave myself up to die on that hill. I have to carry on, my grandma. You do this. Crazy horse done his part, fighting man. And you're going to bring up the old Indian religion back up to date. I'm not asking you to come along with me. I'm not a preacher trying to get more members. I'm trying to push you away. Remember that. I'm the other way now. I'm not trying to influence anybody to go to hell. In other words, too. You don't even know what hell is. You don't even know what heaven is. I don't believe that, see. That's a white man language, English language. It don't fit in there at all. I got on top of that hill to die. I had things, girlfriends, all that. It's time that I should be dead. I guess I don't know, Grandma, go to die. It's not a dream. All of a sudden, this little hill goes up. There's a little space for me there. The earth was down there, and the sun was down there, and the moon and the sky way down there. There's another world, a bigger one, turning very, very slow. The sun don't have enough power to light that other world.
What is up, love doves, soul serpents, and alpacas del almas? Welcome to the Barbarian Noetics podcast. I am, as always, your loyal host, Little Raven. And I am back in the house after a lengthy hiatus. I have taken a lengthy hiatus, and I don't know. In my mind, it's like the biggest deal in the world because I'm like, oh my God, I haven't posted an episode in fucking forever. But then I have to remind myself that people that listen to podcasts, it's just like, mostly it's like white noise to like take up time while you're doing dishes and stuff. People are not like staring at their feed like, why the fuck hasn't Little Raven posted? It's been 4 weeks. Each day they're just like, well, another day. Little Raven hasn't posted. But for me, in my mind, I'm like, another day, and I haven't posted. I'm a failure. So I got to keep that balance in mind that time passes and you probably are like, oh, that podcast I listened to, they posted something new. That's cool. Because like, that's how I am with my podcast. Like I have podcasts, some of my favorite podcasts, they'll post like twice a year. Like there's this incredible podcast called Groundings that the dude posts like, sometimes it'll be like 3-4 times a year. And I'm just like, when I see him pop up in my feed, I'm like, fuck yeah, it's a new Groundings episode. But I'm not like, how long has it been since Groundings posted? But in our fucking capitalistic produce mindset that we're like born in, inculcated in the empire, it's like, if you don't produce, then fucking you're failing. And then if you're failing, that means you're a failure. And that means you have no purpose in life and you suck. And it's just like, it's like, goddamn, I got to get out of that mind space. I got to get out of that mind space. And, man, I did. I got out of Dodge. I'll tell you guys that much. I got the fuck out of Dodge. So I'm coming at you, after spending 4 weeks in the beautiful and magical and powerful land of Mexico. 4 weeks in Mexico. And it was so lovely. And I'm a mixed bag about being back in the empire, to be honest with everybody. I'm a mixed bag about it. I mean, from just a logistical like life living perspective, it is much easier to operate in the land where like you speak the primary language, you know? It's a real struggle, like day in, day out. But it's a good struggle. That's the thing. It's a good struggle. So that's why I'm of two minds about this. You know what I mean? Like, it's kind of nice that I can just go to the K-hole now and be like, hey, I want the cones, the orange cones. Like, I can specify like very unique things really easily with my small mouth noises. In Mexico, I'm like, hola, buenos dias. Quiero los naranjas para fumar. You know, it's like everything's different. And then the comprehension is so different. Like that's the thing with fluency in language is comprehending what people are telling you in real time. That is so challenging. So I'm just like, I'm on Operation Keep My Gains. You know, like when you go to the gym and you're like, fuck it, you want to keep your gains. I feel like I just did that with like mi español, aprendiendo español. I did that for a month. I was like in the gym, like, and I want to keep my gains. And so I'm like, Operation Keep My Gains. So I'm straight chilling on the west side right now. Just chilling on the west side. I'm going to Spanish Bible study and I'm eating carne asada for every single meal. So this afternoon, I was at Maryview Park in the sunshine, catching some rays and reading. And I want to read a little bit from this book that is just so incredibly important to me, this book. I've mentioned this book before on the podcast. I've read this book all the way cover to cover, probably 5 or 6 times at this point. I go to it when I kind of don't know where else to go. It's called Lame Deer, Seeker of Visions. Lame Deer was a Lakota medicine man. And he comes from a long line of medicine men. And this is one of his chapters of this book. The chapter is called Getting Drunk, Going to Jail. Sickness, jail, poverty, getting drunk. I had to experience all that myself. Sinning makes the world go round. You can't be so stuck up, so inhuman that you want to be pure, your soul wrapped up in a plastic bag all the time. You have to be God and the devil, both of them. Being a good medicine man means being right in the midst of the turmoil, not shielding yourself from it. It means experiencing life in all its phases. It means not being afraid of cutting up and playing the fool now and then. That is sacred too. Nature, the Great Spirit, they are not perfect. The world couldn't stand that perfection. The Spirit has a good side and a bad side. Sometimes the bad side gives me more knowledge than the good side. When I was a young man, I roamed the country on foot like a hippie, sleeping in haystacks or under the stars on the open prairie. I joined 5 or 6 different churches, worked at many jobs. It was almost as if I were several different people: a preacher, a spud picker, a cowhand, a clown, a sign painter, a healer, a bootlegger, a president of the Indian YMCA. I managed to be both a Christian and a heathen, a fugitive and a pursuer, a lawman and an outlaw. I was uneducated, but soaked up knowledge like a sponge. All that knowledge, as yet undigested, made a big racket in my brain. This period of roaming and cutting up lasted from 1926 to 1935. I was a hobo and a hippie then for much of the time, but also I spent many quiet months as a budding healer and medicine man. Now I'm going to skip ahead and start reading a chapter called The Circle and the Square a little bit later in the book. What do you see here, my friend? Just an ordinary old cooking pot, black with soot and full of dents. It is standing on the fire on top of that old wood stove, and the water bubbles and moves the lid as the white steam rises to the ceiling. Inside the pot is boiling water, chunks of meat with bone and fat, plenty of potatoes. It doesn't seem to have a message, that old pot, and I guess you don't give it a thought, except the soup smells good and reminds you that you are hungry. Maybe you are worried that this is dog stew. Well, don't worry, it's just beef. No fat puffed puppy for a special ceremony. It's just an ordinary everyday meal. But I'm an Indian. I think about ordinary common things like this pot. The bubbling water comes from the rain cloud. It represents the sky. The fire comes from the sun, which warms us all, men, animals, trees. The meat stands for the 4-legged creatures, our animal brothers, who give of themselves so that we should live. The steam is like living breath. It was water, now it goes up to the sky, becomes a cloud again. These things are sacred. Looking at that pot full of good soup, I am thinking how, in this simple manner, Wakan Tanka takes care of me. We Sioux spend a lot of time thinking about everyday things, which in our mind are mixed up with the spiritual. We see in the world around us many symbols that teach us the meaning of life. We have a saying that the white man sees so little, he must see with only one eye. We see a lot that you no longer notice. You could notice if you wanted to, but you are usually too busy. We Indians live in a world of symbols and images where the spiritual and the commonplace are one. To you, symbols are just words, spoken or written in a book. To us, they are a part of nature, part of ourselves, the earth, the sun, the wind and the rain, stones, trees, animals, even little insects like ants and grasshoppers. We try to understand them, not with the head, but with the heart, and we need no more than a hint to give us the meaning. What to you seems commonplace, to us appears wondrous through symbolism. This is funny because we don't even have a word for symbolism, yet we are all wrapped up in it. You have the word, but that is all. Look at this belt. My grandmother made it. You say it is beautiful, and this makes me glad because I want to give it to you. But it is more than just beautiful. It tells a story. All you see is a geometric pattern of beads, lines, triangles, and diamond shapes. But these are a tale of my grandfather's deeds. This diamond shape represents a feather given to a warrior to wear after doing a brave thing like counting coup. These rectangles with one line missing represent horses' tracks. They stand for the ponies captured from the enemy. This shape means a horse killed in battle and its rider rescued by my grandfather. These two triangles are arrows shot at the enemy. This belt tells of a battle. A woman could make a different kind of belt expressing her love of nature. These lines are the trail she walked. These are the leaves she brushed against. This is a pretty butterfly resting on her shoulder. These up and down steps are a distant mountain. These are clouds. And these three shapes are the whirlwind. This belt tells us about a young woman taking a walk, running into a storm, getting wet, hurrying home, where she gets down to making this belt. Of course, a girl could make a belt for her lover with all kinds of secret heart-to-heart things put in it. He would understand. Such abstract designs are usually women's work. Men draw figures of humans and animals realistically, the way they see them, but there's a lot of meaning hidden within a man's picture too. Take this landscape. A friend of mine painted it. All you see are two round hills beneath the sky, the prairie, a dark valley with some bushes, a cleft, a spring. Well, this is no landscape at all. This is a woman's body. The hills are her breasts, the soft grassy plain is her belly, and that valley with the spring, well, that's her winyanshan, her female part. My friend didn't paint this to make you smirk. I suppose he saw his woman's body as a beautiful landscape. He couldn't leave out that valley with its cleft. That's a central part of her womanhood. It's her essence. It's holy. It stands for love and childbearing. I think this is a beautiful picture. Symbolism helped us to write without an alphabet. By way of symbols, we can even describe abstract thoughts precisely so that all may understand them. Two hands like this, open, reaching for each other, is our sign for peace. A man holding a peace pipe means prayer. This is a medicine man. His eyes are closed. He is having a vision, an insight. The wavy lines coming down on his head is the spirit power descending to him. A man surrounded by dots like this means he is afraid. Things are closing in on him. You know, it always makes me laugh when I hear young white kids speak of some people as, quote, squares or, quote, straights. Old people, hardened in their ways, in their minds, in their hearts. They don't even have to be old. You can be an old square at 18. Anyway, calling these people squares, an Indian could have thought it up. To our way of thinking, the Indian symbol is the circle, the hoop. Nature wants things to be round. The bodies of human beings and animals have no corners. With us, the circle stands for the togetherness of people who sit with one another around the campfire, relatives and friends united in peace while the pipe passes from hand to hand. The camp in which every teepee has its place was also a ring. The teepee was a ring in which people sat in a circle, and all the families in the village were in turn circles within a larger circle, part of the larger hoop, which was the 7 campfires of the Sioux, representing one nation. The nation was only part of the universe, in itself circular and made of the earth, which is round, of the sun, which is round, of the stars, which are round. The moon, the horizon, the rainbow, circles within circles within circles, with no beginning and no end. To us, this is beautiful and fitting, symbol and reality at the same time, expressing the harmony of life and nature. Our circle is timeless, flowing. It is new life emerging from death, life winning out over death. The white man's symbol is the square. Square is his house, his office buildings with walls that separate people from one another. Square is the door which keeps strangers out, the dollar bill, the jail. Square are the white man's gadgets, boxes, 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 and more boxes, TV sets, radios, washing machines, computers, cars. These all have corners and sharp edges, points in time, white man's time, with appointments, time clocks, and rush hours. That's what the corners mean to me. You become a prisoner inside all these boxes. More and more young white people want to stop being straight and square and try to become round to join our circle. That is good. From birth to death, we Indians are enfolded in symbols as in a blanket. An infant's cradle board is covered with designs to ensure a happy, healthy life for the child. The moccasins of the dead have their souls beaded in a certain way to ease the journey to the hereafter. For the same reason, most of us have tattoos on our wrists, not like the tattoos of your sailors, daggers, hearts, and nude girls. That cracks me up because you can tell he was writing a little itty bit ago. I think he'd get a kick out of the fact that everybody has tattoos nowadays and they're all very artistic. And there's so many amazing tattoo artists out there making a living now, which I think is very beautiful and powerful too, because I think tattoos are rituals. But that is my just editorial here. I'm going to read a little more here of Lame Deer, and then I'll hang up the gloves on this for tonight. But I'm going to revisit this book because I've been getting... well, to be honest with you guys, I've been having a spiritual experience right now while I'm reading it into the microphone, and so I think I need to keep reading this into the microphone, so I'm going to keep doing it. Okay. The owl woman who guards the road to the spirit lodges looks at these tattoos and lets us pass. They are like a passport. Many Indians believe that if you don't have these signs on your body, that ghost woman won't let you through, but will throw you over a cliff. In that case, you have to roam the earth endlessly as a wanaji, a ghost. All you can do then is frighten people and whistle. Maybe it is not so bad being a wanaji. It could even be fun. I don't know. But as you see, I have my arms tattooed. Every day in my life, I see symbols in the shape of certain roots or branches. I read messages in the stones. I pay special attention to them because I am a Yuwipi man, and that is my work. But I am not the only one. Many Indians do this. Inyan, the rocks, are holy. Every man needs a stone to help him. There are two kinds of pebbles that make good medicine. One is white like ice. The other is like ordinary stone, but it makes you pick it up and recognize it by its special shape. You ask stones for aid to find things which are lost or missing. Stones can give warning of an enemy, of approaching misfortune. The winds are symbolized by a raven and a small black stone the size of an egg. Inyan Shah, the red pipestone, is maybe the most sacred of all, its red color representing the very lifeblood of our people.
My dog is on probation. Another 5 years. We bring girls to his location. No time, no. Send me the location. This year about vacations. Flight catching, train taking. Soon as my nigga off probation. Your boyfriend's on a waiting thing, looking for one wish on a Ray J thing. I prayed that girl, outrageous thing, but she can't see cause I got shades and thing. Bad girls wanna throw shade and thing, no shade, what shade is your foundation in? Darkest grey, the shade I'm in, 49 more if your babes want sin. I had me a famous thing, goals and things, gains and things. My house party, a babe station. Girls wanna chase, it's a status thing. If you send me the location, then I'll be right there. And make her come check you, my baby. No time, no. And my dog is on probation. Another 5 years. We bring girls to his location. No time, no. Look, playboy, I don't need a carty. I'm captain, I lead the army. Bad ratio, I leave the party. Free Somalis, creeping army. Your ex-wavy, we tsunami. Girl from India, sweetest nani. Head so good now, speak Gujarati. You pardon me, I'm laughing again. I assisted, man, passed my friend. Look, money like the alphabet. If you wanna see P's, gotta pass on the ends. Came a long way from a park in a Benz to an 18 plate man's park in a Benz. Far from the rest, but I'm far from my best. Life is a lesson, I'm passing a pest. Yes, everything blessed. I don't want drama and I don't want stress. My girl got finesse, Caribbean flex, body and chest, tech body and chest. Thank God more, I grew up with less. Just to the right, raps to the
All right,
left.
y'all, I found this very illuminating and well-written article in psychedelictimes.com, and it's very apropos to my own current reality, and so I'm going to read it and make little editorial comments as I go through it. How the Mazatec tribe brought entheogens to the world. And this was written by a man named Wesley Thoricatha in 2015. The Mazatec people are an indigenous tribe that hails from the mountains of Oaxaca, Mexico, best known for their syncretic form of Christianity and indigenous shamanism. In their most sacred rituals, the Mazatec use powerful visionary plants like psilocybin mushrooms and salvia divinorum to commune with spirits, divine information, heal ailments, and to have a direct experience with the divine. When Westerners were allowed to participate in these rituals in the early 1950s, it opened a psychedelic Pandora's box, introducing psilocybin and salvia to the modern world, influencing major players in the psychedelic revolution and forever changing the landscape of modern man's relationship to psychedelics. Seeking the magic mushroom in Mexico. While history suggests that psilocybin was used by cultures dating back thousands of years, the modern world first learned about psilocybin mushrooms thanks to two Americans who traveled to Mexico in the 1950s. Gordon Wasson and Alan Richardson, a banker and a society photographer from New York, who first traveled to Oaxaca, Mexico in June of 1955 in search of a divine mushroom. There they met Maria Sabina, a Mazatec shaman or curandera, who shared the psilocybin mushrooms with them. Thanks to Sabina's open spirit, Wasson and Richardson became some of the first Westerners to participate in the sacred Mazatec ritual called the velada. Wasson's account of their profound experience was published in Life magazine in 1957 in a piece entitled Seeking the Magic Mushroom, and allegedly went on to inspire Timothy Leary and countless others to seek out the psilocybin mushroom in Mexico. The popularity of the article led to a deluge of hippies, tourists, and celebrities traveling to the Mazatec city of Huautla de Jimenez, including the likes of John Lennon, Mick Jagger, and Bob Dylan. Maria Sabina became both a hero and an outcast for her role in sharing a guarded Mazatec tradition with outsiders. Within her own community, Sabina was seen as a traitor. Vandals burned her hut down, forcing her to move to the outskirts of town. To the rest of the world, Sabina became an unlikely celebrity, and to this day she is seen as an outsider hero throughout much of Mexico, as a symbol for the value of indigenous ways and psychedelic experiences. Wasson maintained friendly relationships with Sabina despite the fallout from his article. He returned to Oaxaca in the 1960s with Albert Hofmann, the Swiss scientist famed for being the first person to synthesize and ingest LSD and the first person to isolate and synthesize psilocybin. With Maria's help, they were allowed to take part in a ceremony with salvia divinorum. Afterwards, they procured full plant specimens for botanical and chemical study, introducing yet another major psychoactive plant to the West. Wasson also offered Sabina synthetic psilocybin pills on this visit. After journeying with them, Sabina commented that the pills had the same spirit as the mushrooms themselves, verifying the traveler's hopes that synthesized psilocybin, which is much better suited for research and therapy, could have all the benefits and effects as the mushroom itself. Pandora's box. The introduction of psilocybin and salvia to people outside the Mazatec culture was both revelatory and controversial. The Mazatec faced an unwanted tide of attention from the outside world. Some of their most sacred rituals and plants were defiled by outsiders who did not see their visionary plants in the same reverential context as they did. We cannot deny the long-reaching consequences of these discoveries. Equally, we cannot discount the countless people across the world who have had meaningful experiences with these plants, nor the scientific research that shows their great promise in treating end-of-life anxiety, easing obsessive-compulsive disorder, ending tobacco addiction, treating depression, and reducing inmate recidivism. For better or for worse, once the genie is out of the bottle, it can never go back. In the spirit of preserving their legacy, let us remember to appreciate the invaluable gifts that the Mazatec people have contributed to psychedelic understanding, and continue to emphasize the responsible and science-backed use of these Mazatec sacraments for healing as they were originally intended. I thought that I was gonna have, just dropped my phone, and a dog is freaking out next door. I thought that I would have more to say about that article, like more to interject, but I find that I don't have more to interject. And the reason I don't have more to interject is because it's a thought-producing article, it's a thought-provoking article, and it holds two things at the same time, like positive and negative, the yin and the yang. Life is convoluted and complex and multifaceted and often paradoxical. And thus, I am simply left thinking and contemplating the experience. And the one thing I'll say is that the open spirit that's mentioned in that article, the open spirit of the Mazateca people, that is so beautiful and so divine. And Jesus also said to be like the little children, to never lose that spark of curiosity and creativity and spontaneity. And my experience of being in Huautla is a very tight-knit community. So even though there has been a lot of like outside interference, it's, in my perception, only served to like integrate and interweave the indigenous people there ever more closely connected to one another and to their environment, to that sacred place of earth. Just one of the most powerful places in the world, and a place that left me feeling very humbled in many, many ways. So, major shout out and thank you to the beautiful Mazatec people. What a blessing to the world these amazing people are, and it's their openness that we can learn so much from. Aho.
They hate our beef because our beef is beautiful and theirs is weak.
Here now with more. Commerce Secretary Howard Lutnick is with us.
It was just soft politicians. As President Trump said, it was the people in the Oval Office. I mean, the European Union won't take chicken from America. They won't take lobsters from America. They hate our beef because our beef is beautiful and theirs is weak.
They hate our beef because our beef is beautiful, and theirs is weak because our beef is beautiful, and theirs is weak.
Oh shit.
Siguiente, por favor. Siguiente, por favor. Siguiente, por favor. Siguiente, por favor. Siguiente, por favor.
Anoche tuve un sueño raro. Yo me casaba contigo con vestido blanco y en mis manos tenía un ramo. Los pétalos caían, los pétalos caían. Y luego mi vestido se volvía negro y luego de mi boca me salía veneno. Y en mi escarabajo me salió de adentro y me guió el camino hacia el cementerio. Y vi cómo dejabas flores en una tumba y me acerqué para ver a quien tú le llorabas. Y luego me di cuenta que lo que estaba ahí dentro era tu amor, que por mí ya se había muerto.
All right, y'all, I'm going to read this article from the California African American Museum, CAAM. I'm doing some research about the Mexican-American War, and I found this article, and I want to share it with you all. So, on September 15, 1829, Afro-Mestizo Mexican President Vicente Ramon Guerrero issued the Guerrero Decree prohibiting slavery in almost all of Mexico. There's a portrait of this gentleman. He seems like a good dude. Between the Spanish conquest of the Aztecs in 1829, 200,000 enslaved Africans were taken to New Spain, which we know today as Mexico. An estimated 1.3 million Mexicans today claim African ancestry, a tiny slice of the country's 130 million. But slavery and its abolition played a key role in the nation's early history. The Mexican-American War was fought over slavery because the Mexicans abolished it and the Anglos were not ready to. Both free and enslaved black soldiers sailed with conquistadors, while several important figures in early Mexican history, like Pío de Jesús Pico, California's last Mexican colonial governor, were of African descent. Despite their small numbers, perceptions and fears about the predominantly male enslaved Africans occupied significant real estate in Mexico's colonial imagination. A 2004 show at LACMA, Inventing Race, Casta painting in 18th century Mexico, focused on the Casta paintings of the era, which attempted to document in excruciating eugenicist detail the results of Europeans, indigenous peoples, and Africans intermixing. Chief among the era's Afro-Mexicans, though, is Vicente Ramon Guerrero Saldaña. Born in southern Mexico, 1782, to a mother of African descent and a mestizo father, Guerrero was an early advocate of Mexico's independence. Joining the rebellion in 1810, the man known as El Negro was the rebellion's military commander-in-chief by 1815. Doggedly pursuing independence, despite a string of military and political setbacks in the mid-1810s, Guerrero devised a non-traditional strategy of guerrilla and conventional warfare in his native southern Mexico. During these years, he was the rebellion's anchor, harrying Spanish forces into a stalemate in the south, and eventually convincing Spain's leading general, Agustín de Iturbide, to join the rebellion in 1820. Mexico was free within a year. And as we all know, anytime you harry Spanish forces in the early 1800s, angels get their wings. So good work, Guerrero. The new nation's birth pangs were tumultuous, with monarchs, emperors, military leaders, and constitutionalists all vying for control. By the mid-1820s, a republic was established, and in 1828, Guerrero became its second president after a violently contested election. Open warfare broke out between liberal and conservative forces, and only the intervention of another of early Mexico's crowning figures, General Antonio Lopez de Santa Anna Perez de Lebrón, enshrined Guerrero's presidency. No one does names like Mexicans. Am I wrong about this? General Antonio Lopez de Santa Anna Perez de Lebrón. I mean, that just fucking hits. So Guerrero was a radical, and he would lead for less than a year with opposition forces rebelling against him almost immediately, otherwise known as counter-revolutionary forces. This article is a little bit liberal, so I like to view things from a Marxist perspective, and by opposition forces, they're really talking about counter-revolutionary forces. Although conservatives hated his policies, which included free public education, scaling back the death penalty, and land reform. So, I mean, free public education, scaling back the death penalty, and land reform. Those were his three main policies. Sounds pretty righteous to me, but conservatives were so butthurt about this. And this is all the way back in the early 1800s, and it's like, oh my God, I hate how history just rhymes and rhymes and rhymes, and the rhyme gets really fucking old, and then eventually you're like, I don't want to watch this fucking movie anymore. Anyways, continuing here with the article. So although conservatives hated his policies, which included, God forbid, free public education, scaling back of the death penalty, and land reform, God forbid, I'm clutching my pearls. I was even saying those words, clutching my pearls. They also feared the implication of a mixed-race president. Opponents labeled one of the era's great military and political minds as uneducated, and warned that Mexico could become another Haiti, oh God forbid, where European hegemony over non-whites had been overturned in 1804. One of Guerrero's first acts only fueled these fears. On September 15, 1829, he issued a decree which prohibited slavery in all of Mexico except the ranch lands in the Isthmus of Tehuantepec. In addition to being controversial in some aspects in central Mexico, the decree was wildly unpopular in its northern state of Texas, where Anglo-American settlers and emigres held close to 5,000 Africans in bondage. Hoping to mollify restive Texans, good luck with that. Once Texans get restive, there ain't no mollifying them, but I can see why you would give it a shot. Guerrero exempted the northern region from the decree on September 2nd, 1829, but the incident helped harden whites there against Mexican rule. It also worsened his own political situation in Mexico City. Guerrero was deposed by the city's garrison on December 4, 1829. The one-time guerrilla leader retreated to his home base in southern Mexico with supporters, and there might have engineered another miraculous victory. Fate intervened, however, and he was betrayed and captured in 1831. Like Toussaint Louverture, the liberator of Haiti, he was taken without a shot after being lured to a dinner by a purported European ally, in Guerrero's case, an Italian merchant ship captain. So the lesson here is when you're trying to overturn established orders and maybe, organize some stuff, and a supposed European ally invites you to dinner, don't go to dinner. Don't go to dinner. You can't trust that motherfucker. El Negro was executed by firing squad in Cuilapam on February 14, 1831, of course on Valentine's Day. Of course it happened on Valentine's Day if they shoot this great man. It would be 177 years before another man of African descent became president on North America's mainland. And that is the story of this great man of history who was betrayed by a fucking cracker, but he accomplished a lot before that happened. And he's an Afro-Mestizo Mexican president, Vicente Ramon Guerrero. And he issued the Guerrero Decree prohibiting slavery in almost all of Mexico. And he did that way before anyone else on the continent was prohibiting slavery. And he pissed off the Texans. And this was one of the things that gave rise to the annexation of Texas and eventually the Mexican-American War. So now you know about Vicente Ramon Guerrero. He's one of these gentlemen that if I could go back in time and meet, I would like to go meet him and chat with him. Be like, yo, that Italian ship merchant captain is a fucking cracker. Don't trust that motherfucker. Just saying. History might have been different. We can dream.